नमस्कार दोस्तों, आज हम लोग इस वीडियो में क्लास 7 की जो बुक है हनीकॉम इंग्लिश की टेक्स्ट बुक, उसका जो पहला चैप्टर है 3 क्वेश्चंस, उसको आप पढ़ना सीखेंगे आज। ठीक है, तो आइए करते हैं शुरू। 3 क्वेश्चंस केवल पढ़ेंगे इसमें। ठीक है, इसकी जो वीडियो है एक्सप्लेनेशन की, हिंदी एक्सप्लेनेशन की, उसके क्वेश्चंस के सारे अलग वीडियोस हैं। इसमें सिर्फ हम लोग क्या करेंगे, रीड करेंगे, पढ़ना सीखेंगे। क्या है? बिफोर यू रीड, क्या लिखा है? बिफोर यू रीड, अ किंग हैज 3 questions and he is seeking answers to them. What are the questions? Does the king get what he wants? 3 questions. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail if he knew 3 things. These 3 things were: what is the right time to begin something? Which people should he listen to? What is the most important thing for him to do? The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these 3 questions. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered his questions differently. In reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at its proper time. Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance, क्या लिखा है ये? Advance, the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasure, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others the right time for every action. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future, and only magicians, क्या है ये? Magicians could do that. The king therefore would have to go to magicians. In their answers to the second question, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors. Others said the priest, a few others chose the doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. To the third question, some said science, others chose fighting, and yet others religious worship. As the answers to his questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and gave no reward. Instead, क्या लिखा है ये? Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. The hermit lived in a wood which he never left. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king and continued digging. The hermit was old and weak, and as he worked, he breathed heavily. Heavily. He breathed heavily. He breathed heavily. The king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer three questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important? The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade. Then he sat down on the ground. When the king had dug two beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer, but stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade and said, No, now you rest and let me work. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. 1 hour passed, then another. The sun went down behind the trees, and at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me no answer, tell me, and I will return home. Here comes someone running, said the hermit. The king turned round and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief. But the blood would not stop flowing. The king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. The man felt better and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. By this time, the sun had set and the air was cool. The king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. The man closed his eyes and lay quiet. The king, tired by his walk and the work he had done, lay down on the floor and slept through the night. When he awoke, it was several minutes before he could remember where he was or who the strange bearded man lying on the bed was. Forgive me, said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that the king was awake. I do not know you. I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for, said the king. You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore revenge on you, because you put my brother to death and seized my property. I knew, I knew you, I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit. I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit, and I made up my mind to kill you on your way home. But the day passed and you did not return. So I left my hiding place and came upon your bodyguard, who recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. I wished to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, I will serve you as your most faithful servant and will order my sons to do the same. Forgive me. The king was very happy to have made peace with his enemy so easily and to have won him over as a friend. He not only forgave him but said he would send his servants and his own doctors to look after him, and he promised to give back the man his property. Leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and looked round for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to get answers to his questions. The hermit was on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king went up to the hermit and said, "For the last time, I beg you to answer my questions, wise man." या इस तरह से आप पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ सकते हैं। मिलते हैं आपसे अगली वीडियो में। नमस्कार।